Hello and welcome back guys to part 4 on how to build your own quadcopter series. Now in this video we are going to show you what parts that you need to buy and in which order you need to buy them. Now the first is always going to be your frame. So now always decide on your frame first, as it's easy to build around the frame or buy around the frame than it is to do another quads. Now in the previous video I told you that you have to decide the type of frame you want to buy. So big, medium or small, and which way. Racing or educational, or research purposes, or do you just want to build a quad that can put an FPV on it or something like that. So now guys, if you have not checked out on that video, please go check it out and check that out, because that tells you a lot of things that you need to do and you need to know for this. So check out my previous videos so that you can understand what I'm actually telling over here. So guys, so the first thing is going to be that the frame. So now the frame can come in different sizes. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of frames on the market. Now to shortlist that, the last video is going to help you. So you're going to shortlist all of that, so you're going to get things. So now this is going to be the experimental quad and something that is good for beginners, as it's not going to break so easily. So this is going to be the quad that I'm building, and you can build any quad that you want. It's not compulsory you have to follow me. You can build your own quad, because that's the whole reason I'm doing this series, because I want you guys to build your own quad, not the quad that I am building. You have to be able to build your own. That's the whole aim, and that's what we're going to work around here. So now for this quad, the frame that I went for, it was 450 Helier quad, Helier 450 frame. Helier 450 alien frame. This is the alien one, not the normal one. Helier 450 alien frame. So now that's what is this frame. You can also tell it as DJI Helier 450 alien frame. I don't know. That's the name of this, I guess. I would also put all the links to where I got these parts from, both for India and abroad. Some of them I could not find them on abroad, but you can go and get, just type it on Google and they will give you a lot of specs on it. So now guys, the first thing that after you have shortlisted what you're going to buy, you need to start seeing on more other stuff, like what are you going to be your sizes. As I said you the size, you're going to shortlist it by the size again. So now in the racing quad, you're going to have a huge variety of racing quads. Start it down by the size. After that, you're going to still get some more. Shut it down by your money. And now you're going to get only a handful, like only a dozen or maybe 2 dozens of them. Not too much, because there are at least thousands of frames that you can go for. And now the other thing that you can do with it is build your own custom frame. Though I would not recommend this for your first quad, you can go and build your own custom frame from wood or from metal. If you guys have a CNC machine, it's great to build your own frame, as you're going to be saving on a lot of money and also getting your own custom design. So if you guys know quad CAD or something like that, you can go ahead and build your own frame. But generally, if you're a first timer, I would not recommend this, because I'm actually building my own frame right now, and it was a bit harder to get everything on the frame correct. Getting the center of gravity correct, finding out the actual center of gravity on this stuff and all of that. So yeah, it's a bit confusing, but if you guys want to go ahead and build your own frame, I'm not going to stop you if you guys know how to build one. So that's going to be for the frame. Next, after you've decided on your frame and said that this is what I'm going to buy, as you have shortlisted everything, and you know what, you don't need to settle on one single thing. You can go for 2 things, but just make sure that both of them are mostly similar, so that you can go on with every other stuff. So next is going to come your motors. So now the motors are only linked towards the quadcopter's frame, and these two should go together. So now you got to check on the mounting brackets of the motor. So if you guys can see here, the motor is mounted onto this using screws. So you just got to check if the mounting bracket of if these two can get mounted, and the holes that will at the correct place. Now obviously you can't drill holes on this, so if you guys have got it wrong, then you have just wasted a lot of money. So please go check on that. Check on some forums just go check it out on Google, asking people out if they've used this motor with that quad. And now the next thing is going to be the kV rating of the motor. So kV does not stand for kilovolt. This is the main misconception of first timers when they see 100 kV or 200 kV motor. They think it's 100 kilovolts. No, it's not 100 kilovolts. 100 kilovolts can kill you and kill the motor. It's not 100 kilovolts, guys. 100 kV or 1000 kV or whatever that is actually revolutions per volt. Okay, it's not per minute, it's per revolutions per minute per volt. So what's revolutions per minute per volt? Well, we all have heard the term revolutions per minute or RPM. So what RPM is? So let's just take this motor for instance. This can go 1000 RPM on 1 volt charge. Okay, this can go 1000 RPM on 1 volt charge. So when I'm spinning this, let's just say I'm supplying 1 volt to this motor. This would be running at 1000 RPM because it is 1000 RPM motor per kV. Now this is 1000 kV motor, not 1000 RPM motor. So 1000 kV means this can go 1000 RPM per volt. So now if I supply 2 volts, it's just going to be 2 times this, because this thing can go, can you see that, 1000 kV? Yeah, this can go 2 times that, 1000 kV. So 1000 RPM, revolutions per minute per volt. So this thing can go 2000 RPM if 2 volts is supplied on this. Now let's just say 5 volts is supplied, then this thing can go 5000 RPM because revolutions per mode. So that's going to be 5000 RPM. So 5000 revolutions in a minute this thing can do if I supply 5 volts to it. If I supply 2 volts to this thing can only do 2000 RPM because I'm only supplying 2 volts. So that's what kV stands for. kV does not stand for kilovolts. kV stands for revolutions per minute per volt. So every volt, this thing is going to do a perfect number of revolutions per minute. Not perfect, approximately, but it's going to be in that range. So 1000 kV motor means that it's not needs 1000 kilovolts to run, or it does not mean anything about kilovolts. It just means that 1000 revolutions per minute. This thing can do 1000 revolutions in a minute if 1 volt is supplied to it. If 2 volts, just multiply it on. So that's how the kV rating actually works. I don't know why they call it kV, but that's what they call it, and that's what we need to go with it. So that's revolutions per minute per volt. Now the next thing that you want to check on when you're buying this is, if you scroll down, you're going to see something like, amp required or current required, and you're going to find 2 of them. This, in some motors they're going to be turbo current required and, normal current required, or anything that has an A ending with it. So you can have, common things are going to be 25A, 30A and 35A. These are actually the mostly common things that you're going to find with this motor. A stands for the amp rating. So 25A means this thing needs 25 amps to run. If not provided 25 amps, it's going to burn everything on this board. So that's called A ratings. So now you might always need to, if there are 2 A ratings, then always refer to the more higher A rating, because that's going to be the greatest amount of A rating it's going to need. Now guys, you can always go for what the higher A rating says you. If it says max 30 amps or turbo 30 amps, you can always go for that, but I highly don't recommend this, because sometimes in certain load conditions your ESCs and the motors are kind of pushed to get more than those 35 amps, even if it's recommended the highest. So for just being on the safer side, going for a bit higher one, does not think it's going to hurt. So now these motors are rated for a 25 amp current. You can, or max of 30 current, and I've gone for a 30 amp motor because it's just safe. Better to be safe than sorry, guys. So if it's rated for 20 amp, just go for a 20 amp, 5 amp one. It's not going to hurt. 30 amp, 35 amp. So that's what I actually want. You can always go on the turbo frequency of this, which I think I have done over here. Have I done this? I don't know. Ah man, this is a 1-year-old quad. I don't remember the specifications of this. But never ever, and if there's only one, only one of them, always, check that out, check it out, check on these things and check it out. That's going to be your last thing that you want to pick on the motors. And always go for the recommended brand. So don't go for a brand that no one has ever heard about. It's a motor. Go branded motor. Don't go some motor. So guys, the next thing is going to be the ESC, electronic speed controller. Now this is only going to matter upon the amps. This is one of the easier ones to go on. So as you have said you to check on the amp rating on this, 5 amp more ESC, that's all you got to go for this ESCs. Now the ESC should always work on PWM and etc, etc. That's the most easiest thing on them. So the next thing you want to do about the ESC is don't go and buy the most cheapest ESC that you find. Don't go for a nameless ESC that you've never heard about. The -Simon K ESCs that are actually out there and many people are using it. That's why I bought them. I don't want to go, just buy some random ESC out there which has no name and no one has ever used it. So guys, don't go buy those ESCs because they might burst or blow up. I have actually burst on my own ESC once. It was just a small fire, no big deal. Because these are small ESCs, nothing actually happens with them. I actually shorted my ESC. So while I was doing the project, it actually got started. So yes guys, and ESCs tend to become hot. So the other thing that you want to know about this ESCs is that make sure that the ESC, if you're going for 30 amp or 25 amp above, comes with a heatsink. Now that's obviously going to happen. Now heatsink, like I've actually torn apart the AC over here by mistake. Something like when I was experimenting it got scratched. But you can see some metal object over there. That's called a heatsink. Now you guys want to check that you got a heatsink. Now every branded EC will have any heatsink. If you're going for the nameless ones, they won't come with heatsink. So the next thing that you want to talk about is going to be upon motors over, ESC over, frame over. Next thing that we want to talk about is the control board or the transmitter. It's your wish. So let's just go for the transmitter for simplicity's sake. Now this is going to be the transmitter and receiver. I've given enough of introduction on this on the previous video. So now when you're actually buying a transmitter, you might need to put your head into this, because this is not such a thing that buy for this thing and just throw it away. It doesn't work like that. Transmitters are very costly and are going to usually take up 30 to 50% of the price of your quad. So you might want to set some money aside for your transmitter when you're going to do this. So guys, now the transmitter, you need to think and decide that are you only going to use this for this particular project, or are you going to do some other project related to RC? Do you want a simpler one that only has these 4 things and not all these extra switches that I have, no LCD panel and all those stuff, or do you want something that's a bit more advanced like I have over here with more switches, more channels? This is how much? This is a 7-channel ESC with a built-in wireless simulator and all that stuff. So do you want all of that, or are you okay with something, just having these 4 controls, not so much expansions, no LCD screen? Are you okay with that? Now another misconception that's over there, for newbies at least, LCD screen, that means that if you get an FPV, you can hook it up to this and you can get live video transmission on this feed. Now, I'm very sorry, that can never ever happen. Yes, there are different panels that you can mount on the holding bracket over here, which can give you the FPV, but these screens are not meant for that. Let me just power this on. So that's all that's going to come on those screens. So these screens are not meant for FPV. You can't get that on these screens. I'm very sorry about that. So again, go check on the quad, check on this thing, how much do you actually need. Now again, when you're buying this, you do not want to buy one without the receiver, because it's a big headache, because if you are wearing this without a receiver, you need to get something that's compatible with this, so that's another big headache. So whenever you're buying this, make sure that the receiver comes included with it. Check, ask some people, or check on the description of this, check on the data sheet, and you will get to know if the receiver is coming free with the transmitter. Free means in a kit, doesn't mean that you're gonna get this free. That's not gonna happen. So these two are gonna be there. And yeah, the last thing that you guys want to think about when you're buying this is, do not buy a 5.8 gigahertz transmitter. 5.8 gigahertz usually have a long metal antenna, not these plastic antennas. Do not buy that. That's really outdated. They're really old. They're about to get extinct, and they give horrible radio signals. Always buy a 2.6, I guess 2.4 or 2.6, 2.4 or 2.6 gigahertz transmitter and receiver, because they are the best that you need to go for. Now, after you have decided on the transmitter and receiver, the next thing you want to go on is your battery. So now, battery is only going to come on your battery life, and how much weight are you going to give for the quad. So now guys, don't go overboard with your battery. Get a cheaper battery, because I believe that you guys don't need more than 15 to 20 minutes of flight time. Now if you're going for a racing quad, again I said you need to decide all of that in the previous video. Get a smaller battery, get a compact battery, so that it doesn't take up much space, because racing quads are usually very small. If you're going for a bigger testamental quad like this, I have a slightly bigger battery, so get on this. And the next thing you want to go is for quadcopters only, not hexacopters. For quadcopters, 3S is going to be enough. So 3S means 3 cells. Now again, you can go on your motor data sheet and check out how many S's you want. Get those S's over there. The next thing you want to go is mAh. mAh means milliamp hours. So that means that how many amp hours are you going to get on the battery. Simple words, more mAh, more battery life. Again, more mAh, more cost. Again, more mAh, more power. And more mAh means also more weight. So how much mAh are you willing to take off for the weight of the quad? Always weight is going to get the first thing, because you don't want a quad that cannot fly properly having those extra mAh. So that's going to be the thing, guys. Don't go overboard with the batteries. And if you're going for a double battery configuration, be aware that both the batteries have the same thing. So what's a double battery configuration? Well, having 2 batteries stacked up and then getting on one of that. So this could be used some places, like when you need more than 3 volts. I don't think you need it for the quadcopters. Any quadcopters out there, I don't think they use any of these technologies. But if you guys are going for hexacopters, that is 6. So hexacopters is quadcopters brother that has 2 more arms out there. So they might need more S's, and instead of buying that, you might want to check that. So if you're going for a double battery configuration, always recommend it that both the batteries are from the same supplier and the same model of batteries, because you don't want 2 other batteries. So that's the talk about batteries. And the next thing is going to be your control board. So now again, you want to check on the control board. Well, I personally like the CC3D board because it's good. Now there are 2 types of control boards. Ones that are going to be physically control board. So physical control boards are going to have a small LCD screen. They're going to be bigger, and they're also going to have buttons where you actually need to press and configure them. First timers, if it's in your budget, I don't recommend to go to that. Yes, some cases they are better, but it's really a headache to set them up, because they are, these small buttons when you need to press and actually configure how this quad is going to work. Whereas these things, you just, as you can see over here, there's a USB type 2 cable, USB 0.2 cable, which you just need to plug into your desktop, and it's going to be there. So I recommend this board, but any board that you want to buy will actually go with it. So that's it, guys. That's it for the board. So the next thing that we need to do is the props. So now the props are the things that actually hook onto this and spin. So these are going to be the props. So the props vary in size. So mine is 1145 prop. So let's just break down these numbers so that you can understand what's, because many manufacturers sell it in different ways. So some sell it into 11 4.5, 11 4.5, 11 into 4.5. All of them mean the same. So now the easiest way to understand this is that the last third digit. So from the right hand side, the third digit. Last third digit is always going to be how much you're going to be. So it's going to be 945. So that means that this is going to be 9 inches. 945 means 9 inches. 1145 means 11 inches. So now the next thing is, the next two numbers are always going to be a point something. So if they say that 940, that means 94.0. 1045, that means 10.4, 10 into 4.5. So that's going to be like that. And now the next thing is going to be that some might have an into over here, but some won't. So some are going to be like saying you 10 into 4.5. Some are just going to say 10.45 or 10.4.5. So all of these means the same thing, just match the digits, and if that all works, it's good. And for finding the props, go to forums or just go to the frame manufacturer website, or the person who bought this frame, and ask him which is the best propellers I can buy for this. So that's going to be actual ones that you want to buy. Mine over here is in 10 into 4.5, I guess. Yeah. 10 into 4.5. 10 into 4.5 propellers. Is actually going to be that. 10 into 4.5 means 10 inches into a 4.5 roll angle, or the airfoil shape is 4.5. So I guess that's it, guys. Yeah, another thing is, I've put on some landing gear over here. If you guys want to do that, it's actually a good thing to put a landing gear. But if you guys don't, it's always okay. But landing gears are always recommended, not for drone racing, but for experimental quads. Yes, they are recommended, highly recommended. So that's all, I guess. Transmitter, receiver, everything is, I guess, is covered. And yes, of course, I forgot about this small guy over here. So this is what is called as a power distribution board. Now obviously you can go and build your own power distribution board by soldering everything together, but I somewhat just like to buy a module because it's just $1 or $1.50, something like that. It's very cheap. They're not costly at all, and they're reliable. Now the other thing is, like the people who do not know how to solder stuff. So soldering means that connecting it with solder. I know I didn't know solder. So yeah. So if you guys don't know solder, I would recommend buying a board with the plugs that are already there in. Now another thing that you guys want to do when you're buying this board and soldering it is be careful and make sure that it has enough ports for enough multi-rotors or ESCs that you're having. If you're having 4, then make sure that the board has 4 ports so that you can solder them on. But always I would recommend going and buying the one that's already soldered. But if you guys like me are crazy enough to do it yourself because you just like to build stuff, then go ahead. I would not stop you. It's fun building this. And yes guys, and the other thing is, make sure that the boards are not shorted, because if it is, then all the ESCs are again gonna pop. So don't, make sure that they're not shorted, check, double check and do everything. So these boards are actually going to be cheaper than the one that comes with pre-soldered plugs on them, because they're going to be at least 5 times more costly. This is just $1.50. That's going to be like $10. So guys, check that out. It's rubbish. The last thing that you want to do is get an FPV, but I don't again recommend this for first timers. So for first timers, no FPVs and no autopilots. It's not good for you for the first time. You can always expand upon your quad, go on this, learn how to fly, crash it 5 or 6 times, and you're going to crash your quad, as I always say. Don't be scared, it happens. FPVs are okay, good things, but I don't recommend FPVs for first timers or for people who do not know how to fly a quad. So that's it. That's what I would wrap it up with. So that's it, guys. Thank you for tuning in.